Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. ASUS and Intel reached out to me and they were like, hey Nick, can you put together a gaming PC that can also be used for streaming at the same time? And yeah, tell everyone why you would choose those parts. So that's exactly what I did in this video. There's the PC. You want to see how it came together and why I chose those parts? Stick around. This video is brought to you by ASUS and Intel, and when we do sponsored videos like this, I always come out and say it just so there's no confusion about what's actually going on here. So without further ado, let's put this big guy together. Let's do it. Alright ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed watching me put this big old thing together, but let's talk about the parts and why I decided to go with them. So first off, obviously the CPU is from Intel, it's the Intel Core i7-11700K. Now, we decided not to go with the 11900K basically to bring the cost of a system like this down. And the reason why I went with the 11700K over, let's say, a non-K variant is because of the integrated GPU. So if you're looking at doing things like streaming, you can utilize Intel's integrated GPU with things like QuickSync. So you can offload all of the encoding for the stream to the integrated GPU, so you're not using any power from the dedicated GPU or from your CPU. So it is a nice little addition to have if you're using this as a gaming and streaming PC. Next up is the motherboard. We went with the ASUS ROG STRIX Z590E gaming Wi-Fi. Now, there's a few reasons for this. You've got a lot of expandability with this board in terms of storage for things like SATA, SSDs and whatnot, but also the main reason why I picked this is because you've got 3 ways to attack the networking. You've got your Wi-Fi 6E built in, and you've got dual 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and you can set up some redundancy for that too. So if you're streaming, it's good to have a backup. To cool the 11700K, we went with the ROG STRIX LC360 RGB. The reason why I picked this cooler is because obviously it's ASUS, but it's an Asetek based cooler and they're quite efficient at cooling CPUs like the 11700K. And for a CPU like this, I would recommend a 360mm AIO if you can. Which leads us into the next thing, why we went with the Helios case. We don't have any type of restrictions for any hardware in this case whatsoever. Just about anything you can imagine will fit in this case, so yeah. We all know about availability and how hard it is to get GPUs right now. However, I did decide to go with an RTX 3080 and it's the RTX 3080, it's the ROG STRIX Gundam Edition. There is a reason why I still decided to go with 3080 even though availability is quite hard here in Australia. But yeah, I will come back to that and it will make a little bit more sense later on in the video. That aside, the main reason is the performance of the 3080. It is quite a capable GPU and there's not a lot of games that it can't run at high to very high settings. So yeah, quite an obvious choice. As we continue to talk more about the parts, the one glaring issue is power. So we decided to go with a more than capable power supply and we used the ROG STRIX 850 watt 80 plus gold power supply, the white edition. Now we've used this power supply before and it does come with nice little additions like fully sleeved cables out of the power supply itself. So yeah, 850 watts is more than adequate for a PC like this, especially for gaming and streaming. So you're probably asking yourself, Nick, that's all well and good, but I can't get a GPU, so you know, building myself a gaming and streaming PC like this is kind of pointless. But here in Australia, ASUS and Intel have actually teamed up with Mwave and they're offering this as a bundle. And I know that bundles might not be for everyone, but for a DIY PC builder, it makes a lot more sense because then you don't have to pay for things like putting the PC together and all that jazz. You can just go in, purchase the bundle and you've got almost everything you need to get started with a gaming and streaming PC like this. There are things that aren't included in the bundle quite obviously like RAM and storage, but it is a pretty decent place to start. So I'll put a link to the bundle that basically has all of this hardware that we selected on Mwave's website, link in the description down below if you're interested in something like this. But yeah, I thought that this might be interesting to you guys considering how the market is and how honestly, it's very hard to get gaming hardware and PCs at the moment. So this is a viable option if you're here in Australia. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the rest of the world with stuff like this, but I do know they do offer bundles with similar types of deals. Anyways, guys, special thanks to Intel and ASUS for asking us to put this together and for sponsoring this video. And if you guys like the music you heard here, I make all the music on all of our videos. If you want to get early access to videos like this, head on over to Floatplane. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek.